Okay, so I'm back at my Alaskan lab because I have two at-home engineering labs, and that is one in Europe and one in Alaska. If you're new to the channel and you haven't seen the pictures of me actually physically building my at-home engineering lab with, relaying the concrete, all that stuff, really cool, then I suggest that you look at my Facebook account. I'll link it in the description. Um, and there it is, right? So with that in mind, I'd like to share a story of what it was like on the plane returning to Alaska from Europe. And I'm going to read my Facebook post that I've written about it uh, here. They paired me with a black guy on the flight. I doubt he was faking his tattoos. Among many, I saw two teardrop ones by his eyes, indicating that he had killed at least two people from some gang-related cause, and almost certainly had spent prison time. When he saw me preparing to sit down, he yelled, "Oh, great! They got me with a black man. I love my black people." The passengers laughed. He embarrassed me, not even by what he said, but by how loudly he said it. I'm sure the passengers could see it on my face in a way that he couldn't as I turned around to stow my bags, right? So I was stowing my bags, and like I kind of shot a face to people who were like, please don't. I'm not with this guy. It's not what you think, right? But I made sure that he didn't see it. I wasn't trying to outwardly insult him. Um, right. So he asked a blonde white woman passing by, "Hey, hey, do you love black people?" "Absolutely," she exclaimed while walking by. He sneered with some kind of metal grill in his teeth. Like he had, you know how rappers have like that part of their teeth that are just like metal, or they have like gold in their teeth. He had that, and he was like, "Absolutely," right? He mocked her more proper English manner of speaking. He then turned to me. "Anything you need, brother. I've got everything. I've got power. I take care of my black people." I nodded and smiled, almost as though I was a pleasantly shy Asian person, which hid how much I actually did not like him. But I was not disrespectful in any way, shape, or form. He reached his hand out to dab me, but I don't know how to dab, right? And if you're black watching this video, you're probably laughing, but like no, I don't know how to dab. Like I got the like idea of it, like you know how you like, uh, I don't know, but I'm sure I could do it, but it would be very awkward. And I didn't want to demonstrate that. I didn't want that awkwardness to show, so I just fist bumped in it. I just fist bumped him, not disrespecting him, but I didn't want to awkwardly attempt a demonstration of soul or blackness that I just didn't have. Immediately, I could tell that my social awkwardness struck him. He started scanning me up and down, trying to figure me out. He noticed little details about my appearance, but his knowledge was not vast enough to adequately deduce my character with accuracy, so I could tell that I remained enigmatic to him. For instance, there was no way he could translate the Old Norse on my ring. Right, I'm not sure if you can see it in the camera. This is actually an Old Norse ring I got from some brothers of mine. Um, right, so so there's no way he could translate the Old Norse on my ring like I could, let alone even identify that that was the language it even was. I was completely exotic to him, a puzzle. He saw my passport. "Ah, he's got the passport. Where are you coming from?" Right. So I told him what country. Right, and he asked me what brought me to Alaska. I told him home. He nodded, but he didn't seem to understand. Right, and how could he? He was from Alaska, yet I was alien to him. So I had clearly not grown up around his people. I was clearly different. I was clearly from a different tribe, one that he had no information about in his memory about black people in Alaska. Right? And I just like if he had an internal memory bank, a repertoire of memories or of information about the types of black people in Alaska, I was like an error file, kind of like Obi-Wan Kenobi trying to check the library and like if it does not if it's not in our library, it does not exist. Impossible, like basically like that. Like, what kind of a black person are you? Uh, right. So, and at first, I almost judged him for having killed people. But then I realized, taking myself down from my own high horse, that I've killed people too. As a matter of fact, I've killed exponentially more. For instance, the airstrikes that I transmitted while I was in the Navy were approved by the government. Right? So that was really the biggest difference, was that I was sanctioned and he wasn't. By sanctioned, I mean approved. Right? I would bet money that I am far deadlier with guns than that guy was as well, and almost certainly in hand-to-hand combat, judging from his demeanor and how, his arms, and just how usually the best fighters are not loud like that, and he just didn't seem like a very brawny guy. He just didn't have it. I'm sure he's been in more. I'm sure he's been in more than one scrap. Right. I'm not meaning to disrespect the guy. Even now, he's not even here. I'm sure he's been in more than one scrap, especially pertaining to gang violence. But he did not seem like he was trained in anything. Because usually, people who are trained, they have a totally different demeanor than what he had. So with that in mind, I stopped judging him the moment I realized that my shadow was actually darker than his, despite the fact that I was quieter than him, eloquent in speech, and I did not flaunt it. I had no gangster clothing, tattoos, or demeanor, with the exception of my Spartan SEAL class mentor tribute on my shoulder. Not sure if you can see it. Yeah. Yeah. It's not the whole tattoo, but so I had no gangster clothing, tattoos, or demeanor, with the exception of my Spartan SEAL mentor tribute tattoo on my shoulder, underneath my shirt that nobody could see. Throughout the flight, Freudian slip up. Throughout the flight, he tried calling out to the flight attendants. His behavior drove them to avoid him, right? But not so much me. They didn't mind me. They had no problems with me. So I had to get their attention on his behalf. He wondered if it was because I was light-skinned, but no, that wasn't the reason. He merely lacked self-awareness and empathy for how his tattoos, dressing, and general behavior were making the flight attendants and other passengers feel. He appreciated me for ensuring that he received adequate service, saying, "That's why I love black people, man." Yet, so little did he know about my psychology, is that I am actually closer to an archetypal warrior Aryan in both blood and character than the very staff who avoided him. But I allowed him to believe whatever he wanted, not only to keep the peace, but because even he was someone that I did not want to feel unnecessary emotional pain.